All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. The question we asked you earlier on today was whether your life has really changed ever since devolution came up. Has your life changed since devolution started? Well, the polls are in. The final tally, yes, 21%. No, at 79%. There's a slight difference there. I want to sample some of your views here. Let's start from Barry Osman. He says the lives of Kenyans worsened under devolution. It has only given corruption an impetus and momentum. Under devolution, billions of shillings have been stolen and not a single penny has been recovered. Most hospitals have no medical supplies. We have Lali there who says, in Baringo, devolution has brought nothing. CDF is what we believe in. We have another one here from George Kwash. He says, truth be told, devolution has been a success in Kenya. We've seen better close-to-home development in medicine, agriculture, and infrastructure all over the nation, all of which wouldn't have been achieved before devolution. All right. Final here, Muhammad Nur says the fruits of devolution is only beneficial to a few Kenyans, and millions of Kenyans are suffering instead. Those are the views on the devolution situation, and we're taking stock right now at the Bomas of Kenya, where the conversation all began. We are wrapping up from this side of the studio, but conversation still continues with Waiga Mwaura, who's joining me there, and Mashirima Kapombe is also with him. Mashirima, mambo vipi?
Mzikoni maswali mawili hapa yalikuwa yameulizwa na Gabriel Atieli aliyeuliza kwa nini viongozi wakati wanataka kura wapo wanaweza kupanda hata kwenye mkokoteni, lakini baada ya kura hawawaoni hata wakija kuangalia hata ile miradi ambayo walisema watakamilisha. Na Esther Mudheu naye akauliza kama kiongozi anachaguliwa manake anajua kile anachoenda kufanya ama anataka tu mshahara. Wahiga.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo, I think Junior will immediately delve into that and help us understand his perspective on what they're asking.
I don't know whether you want us to answer the questions that were asked on the Constitution, but I will begin with Mudeu. I don't believe that the people who request for your votes don't know why they are requesting for your votes. Because most of them come with their either manifestos or statements of the things that they will do. And most likely when you go to vote, you go and vote the ones who have persuaded you that they look like they know what they are going to do. As to what happens when they go to work, that's another question which I will not answer. This gentleman says that people are prepared to sit on mkokotenis, others were elected on borders, etc., etc. It's just the way we use try and persuade you. We would try anything so that you can persuade you that we will do the job. I'm not sure whether they are supposed to continue sitting on mkokotenis once you elect them. That I'm not quite sure. But the point is that the expectations, it's possible that the expectations that the public have of leaders is not met in the manner that it's supposed to be met, because it's possible that you expect that once you elect that person, that place where he sat on a mkokoteni should come back to that place. It's possible that will not happen. But how do you gauge that your leader is working? Mm-hmm. Is he sitting on that mkokoteni? Is he sitting with you in the market? How do you gauge that your leader has delivered the service? Because if he has been given resources to manage, has he managed those resources the way you would expect? Has he made sure that bursaries that are supposed to come to the people who need them have received them? Has he made sure that the funds that are supposed to be allocated to various resources have been allocated, and you can tell that those documents are, so that you can answer this question that bothers me also? That you go to Isiolo, or you go to Marsabit, or you go to Mandera, or Kadhonzweni in Makueni with a document written in English as big as this document. You give it to Mama Mudheu, Mama Mwekali in English, expect them to read and understand, and then meanwhile, while they're reading and understanding, you ask them to respond to the document that is here. So it's the expectations we have. She has mentioned part of it is civic education. that it's possible that there's a person who has elected a senator and they expect that the senator will build a classroom the same way the MCA is supposed to build a classroom, the same way the governor is supposed to build a classroom, and the same way possibly the president is supposed to go and do the same thing. So there's also a disconnect between the public and the leadership. But the last is that even then when you call, those leaders call you and tell you, please come and tell us, in this region, what sort of development do you want? Why are we praised in Makueni, for example? And most people don't know. We have over 3,000 village committees, for example, that sit around a place, whether it's a fire, under a tree, by a river, on a rock, or a place. But they say, this is what we want. Then the leaders of that area, if it's a ward, the MP, the governor, should be asked questions based on those ones. Did you deliver?
And feedback is given.
And feedback is given. We asked you to deliver X, you delivered Y. We asked you for an orange, you brought a banana. Why did you bring a banana? So that when we gauge, you set an exam. Wewe ukipiga kura, you set an exam for that leader. Set an exam with proper questions and proper answers. Thank you.
Okay. Very good.
Nadhani umejibiwa.
Mpaka ameketi.
Keti mwenyewe. Kuhusiana na pia hilo swala ambalo ametaja hapo Senator Mutula kuhusiana na majukumu ya viongozi mbalimbali. Kuna mmoja tu anataka kuelewa majukumu mengine. Jacinta.
Kwa majina ni Jacinta. Swali langu linaandamana tu na hilo. Ningependa tu kujua kazi ya senator ni gani?
Okay, point blank.
Point blank.
Yes.
The work of the senator under Article 96 is protect the interests of counties, oversight counties, participate in the budget making of revenue between national government and county governments. What does that mean? Means that when there is a pot, and that is why we're complaining about resources. When the government has a pot, our work is to sit and make sure that counties are funded. That is where we are having a problem with counties. But meanwhile, we're also supposed to check once we send resource X to Governor Y. And that is why we had quarrel with Governor Ruto here. We send resources to him. When we tell him, come and tell us how you spend these resources, he says, why are you summoning me? I'm not supposed to come. Send the CEC. Send the CEC finance. We said the CEC finance is not elected by anybody. We don't want to see the CEC finance. We want to see Governor Ruto seated at the Senate answering the questions as to how he has spent resources, and that has not changed. Hiyo ndio kazi yetu.
I want to come in.
Are you inviting me?
I want to come in and maybe I'll pick up on that issue.
Yeah.
Yes, it's right. Senate is supposed to protect the counties. We feel that job has been done reasonably well. Possibly 50-50 could have been done better. The issue of the oversight has been a challenge because of the political nature in which the Senate embraced it. And this is what I'd like to speak to with regard to the two questions that were asked there about political leaders and even about the Constitution, the proposed amendment. Because we are talking about amending the Constitution, which is fine. Constitution is a living document.
Yeah.
It's supposed to reflect and be able to change and pick with issues. And as we implement devolution, there's a lot we are learning, including some things that couldn't have been foreseen. So changing it is fine. But the problem is, our biggest challenge is the political culture. It is the political culture where you have senators maybe exercising their oversight in a way really which is not supporting, is not in line with their role of protecting devolution because of that political element. Not that they shouldn't do oversight, but I think the way it was being done, especially at the outset, was trying to show that who are these governors? They've grown too big for their shoes. That was so the problem is we have a major political problem, and this political problem isn't just at the national level. We are seeing it in the national kind of development decisions that are being taken, and even at the county level, whereby, for instance, you look at the SGR, it's a very political loaded issue, but the impact it's having on development, on the amount of money that's available for service delivery is significant. Then you ask yourself, why the SGR? Why at this price? Why push through, let's say, the universal health care? Why try and do it in 5 years? Why try and change the education system in such a short time?
Okay.
Why are governors building stadia where you have food insecurity? Because we have this culture where politicians need to show something after 5 years.
Yes.
And that's a political issue. And that, even if we amend the constitution, you
not
can't
change
deal
that,
with that.
no.
So my point is, yes, we can change the constitution. We need to guarantee the money to counties. I think we need to deal with our political system, because this presidential system is running us to the ground. It's not working for us, in my view. But those who are involved in the constitution amendment process should not be allowed to benefit or run in the offices that will be created, so that we can remove the self-interest. Otherwise, we are going to continue in this
I'm coming to you.
going round and round.
Get us some last questions that they can answer as we wrap up.
Okay, wacha tuanze na kaunti ya Nakuru. Benjamin.
My question is to the panel in general, and this is in regard to the health sector. Now there has been a problem of perennial strikes of be it nurses or doctors that cripples the healthcare system in the counties. Now I'd like to ask, where does the problem lay or blame lay on how can we work towards getting a permanent solution to this problem?
Okay, thank you for that question. Let me hear from the governor, and also Kevin, you come in after that.
Yes, let me start with that question because it's fresh. Then I'll answer it. The issue is about healthcare. It's possible to sort out healthcare issues if we all agreed that the first thing is that certain levels of healthcare is fully devolved, and that the national government has no business muddling in that business. I ran a county, there was not a single strike of nurses. Even when they were going on strike throughout the republic, they were not going on strike in Bomet. I dealt with my staff like employees of the county, and we were able to discuss and sort out those problems. Some of the issues the healthcare staff are raising are very valid and they are doable. It does not require political brinkmanship over those questions, because the health staff do not engage in matatu business like the rest of us do, and they are available to be called upon to help us 24 hours. They don't complain even when you go and wake them up at midnight. So some of the questions, for example, when I arrived, I found some of them were in job group L, the doctors, and yet the transition authority had told us to engage the ward administrators at job group N. And so I could not even understand what the reasoning was. Why do you bring a doctor at job group L and a ward administrator at job group N? And then you are ready to disagree with the healthcare workers when they say, I shouldn't be at L, I should be at M. And I said, you're just talking about M, not even N, not even P. And you are a whole doctor, having been at the university for 7 years and an internship, and you are ready to work all those hours. There are issues we can deal with our healthcare staff without coming and congregating here in Nairobi. The issues about healthcare in Makueni is different from healthcare, for example, in Marsabit. In Marsabit, healthcare is just a matter of life and death. Remember, with the advent of devolution, the first cesarean section was done in Mandera, which had never been done. That is very scaring, because it means all the women who required cesarean section all died since independence in Mandera. Now, let's deal with healthcare more seriously than we are dealing with it, and let each county go and deal with their healthcare situation and understand that this is a devolved function. We should also sort out the issue of SRC. I have a lot of issues to discuss on that question. Okay. But let me, because I know you are pressed for time.
Yes.
For the senators, I want to say senators should not be allowed to run for governor after their term. if they want to become governors, they should go home for another 5 years and start again.
That's your
because
proposal.
they are using their office to disable the governors so that they can go in. So they will not protect the counties, they will not protect their interest. And another issue, I'm not talking about Mutula. This one is performing very well, actually. I'm proud of Mutula. But the other issue is, when we talk about oversight, my disagreement with him is that the oversight assigned to the senator is written very clearly in the constitution. I think it was well chosen. Oversight over the allocation of revenue. You are not assigned really the primary function of oversight over the expenditure. And you read the difference in the wording in article, is it 95 or 96?
96.
And 96. And then read again in 221, or is it 225?
It's 226. It's not what I like. It's 226.
Go and read the one you like to read. But check the wording. Check the wording. The wording is oversight over the allocation of resources to the counties of the two levels. And I'll have a message for the governors meeting in
Kirinyaga.
In 1 minute.
Kirinyaga.
Please give it now.
Is it now or
Yes,
later?
it's now.
It's now.
What's your message to them?
Yeah, my message to them is that they should understand that they are exercising the sovereignty of Kenyans at the local level. They are the sovereignty of Kenyans is exercised at two levels: at the national level and at the county level. At the national level, by Uhuru Kenyatta as our president and CEO, and parliament, which includes Mutula Kilonzo. We expect them to exercise our sovereignty at the county level together with the MCS at that level. And they have no business linking the agenda of the national government and the agenda of our villages. Uhuru has his allocated responsibility. They themselves have their allocated responsibility, which they were explained to when they were sitting on the Mukokoteni, which Madam there has said. Now let them deal with that issue of what they told the people while they were sitting on the Mikokotenis.
Thank you, so much. Senate, as you think about your last point, Kevin, come in.
The first thing for me is, and I think the former governor has raised this, is we need to inculcate the culture of consultation, talking to each other, dialoguing, conversing, agreeing to disagree, and then ultimately agreeing to also compromise on certain things. And I think he's ably raised the issues which I think many citizens have also raised, even in our public participation meetings. And sometimes I think it is a failure of the leadership to discuss issues which affect us. Because, for instance, if you go to Lamu, they will tell you there is no reason why nurses will strike in Lamu, because they feel the needs of the people. But you see, the national repo will push them, because to a given extent, like he said, they are more or less at the same levels in terms of job groups and grading system and all that. But I think the bottom line here is, to what point will the governors be willing to sit with the citizens? Post 2013, county governance, which is where I serve, used to run what we then called, and still do call, the governors roundtables. And getting governors to come and sit with people like we are now doing in this town hall, where then you raise your concerns, and the leadership, the speaker comes with this county assembly, and everyone is there, and they are able to engage effectively, including even the professionals. And I think because of the manner in which, and that is why I said we need to look at how we elect and put governors in office, because there gets to a point when you feel like you've already amassed that power and wealth, and so the citizens no longer mean anything to you. So they write very many meetings, meeting requests to come and sit with them. You send very junior officers who may not even be able to answer questions. And I think that frustration boils down to the people. And hence then we see the kind of attendance even to public participation meetings, because they'll tell you, kama Gavana Haji sisi hatuendi basi, because the person is going to come and answer our questions if it is the governor who is supposed to. So I think we need to inculcate the culture of talking to each other, and governors should be able to, as we push this narrative of the Mkokoteni and the Mamambogas engaging with their leaders, think at where they are coming from, because then that is what builds the future that we are looking at. The second thing I think for me is,
briefly please, go ahead,
is the place of the people's voice in devolution. And if you're not very careful, every day given the apathy and all this disfranchisement that we are seeing because of theft of public funds in counties, people are soon going to give up in devolution, whereas we can tell as many stories, very good stories of what the little resources that have been taken to counties are doing, which I think, in my view, need to also send a drumming bell to national government. If counties are doing this with a little, let's not push it down. Let's add on to it and then empower, in my view, the citizens to be able to hold those leaders to account and give them a framework that is able to, if Senate cannot exercise that oversight, and the county assemblies that many times I think have been compromised, by the relations between the governors and the county assembly, then let's think through. And I think Minister of Devolution and ourselves, I think post 2013 we used to have the public participation policies, which evolved into the Public Participation Acts and all these frameworks. I think Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa needs to begin a process where then he will be able to work with the governors and also the citizens to empower the citizens to hold the leaders to account if the Senate, I think, is having a problem.
I'll have to take that as your last comment, Senator.
Just two issues. Number one, I want to comment on the question of healthcare. It's a contradiction about the country. Nurses are working easily, 16 hours a day, easily. If you go to any maternity healthcare, if you go to Kenyatta National Hospital, the people who should get awards or rewards any year in this country are nurses.
Yes.
But yet we mistreat them.
Yeah.
We treat them so badly. Even we politicians don't even deserve the sort of money we get for purposes, if you think about the healthcare. Doctors. The doctors of this country are the best students in your class. But when it comes to pay, you want to pay others better than them. And they beat you in class, they became doctors. Not all of us became doctors. Anywhere in the world, anywhere in this world, doctors and nurses are treated far much better. We would not be importing Cubans if we didn't think less of our doctors. Because there are doctors on the queue who have not been employed. And nurses, etc., etc. We have shortage of nurses everywhere. One of the nurses explained to us, and you have not even mentioned, that the universal healthcare in Kisumu that was launched by the president, now everybody who wakes up and thinks that their hair is blinking or something is wrong with them, go to hospital. What does that mean? It means you have more people going to hospital and less people to attend to them. So Kisumu has 2,000 nurses only. We are doing badly. In terms of universal healthcare, and that's why we are saying, in terms of national government, their programs are not supported by resources, and it's loop-sided planning. You plan the resources. And lastly, to say, I think that the greatest thing that Kenyans have done to themselves in the 2010 Constitution is to devolve the services. It's the best thing that you have done. If there's one thing that will kill marginalization, where people from the northern part of the country say we are going to Kenya when they are coming to Nairobi, is to ensure that we have proper systems of devolution. And it will only happen, first, when we dissolve resources, two, when we jail the thieves, the corrupt people. When we jail them, then like Nigeria, they're going to learn the lesson. So I'm not worried about the people who are stealing. There's a good place for them to go in committee where we are going to jail them. But
when?
If
someone's asking when, topic for another day.
That's another day.
Yes.
We'll ask Nurdin. We should bring him here. If you reverse devolution, and the person from Kakuma, the person from Lamu and Lunga has to get into a bus and come to Nairobi, to Afia House, to look for the Minister for Health, then you begin a revolution of people who think that there's no reason. You just say, Pwani si Kenya, Makueni si Kenya, Bomet si Kenya. Why? Because it is not in Kenya. If you do not have, in 55 years of independence, there are people in Baringo, where their former president comes from, who are giving birth under a tree. That's not Kenya. It cannot be Kenya. The new Kenya is where you can have a dispensary, and it is envisaged under health that you can get to a health care 5 kilometers from your home.
Senator, those are good thoughts to leave us with. Wanjiru, you have the final word.
I have a final word. And I think the one thing, a couple of things is, one, to agree with what the Senator has said and the Governor has said about this need for the bottom-up approach. And the big caution around the Big Four is that it's focusing on top-down and looking at the example of universal healthcare. Unless those investments are made at the lowest level, where I can get access to services at the dispensary, at the clinic, and then get the referrals from then on, the universal healthcare project will not work. It's going to collapse. And if it collapses our healthcare system. So actually what the Senator is saying, what has been said here, is critical. And I hope that will come out in the conference. I hope the governors will be bold enough to tell the president, yes, it's a good idea, but the money has to come to the counties, because you can't run across the world, you can't run universal healthcare unless you have the basic infrastructure. The infrastructure is not in place because the counties don't have the resources to put it in place. The second thing is, with the county governments, we're getting too much lip service on public participation. 6 years on, we've seen models. We have had examples of what bottom-up engagement is about, what self-governance, what the exercise of sovereignty is about. It is about really allowing citizens to have a say in their development. Access to information is a critical part of that. We've seen positively more budget documents being posted on the website.
Yes.
But the quality of information in those budget documents is not moving up as much. So you can read the budget document, the information is so compounded you can't get the details. So the counties are actually hiding information, giving the documents tick a box,
and lots of figures and tables.
The information is not useful. Procurement information, the Commission on Administration of Justice is saying it's about 10%, and that's across the board. A few counties are now beginning to experiment with open contracting, where they actually let citizens into the contracting process, but that is few and far between. It might be one or two. So public participation is still being given lip service. And Governor, I respect the sentiments you've made, but governors are as doing as poorly as the national government, as guilty as the national government, and maybe even, I won't say more so, as guilty. And this is allowing corruption to thrive. So we need to see concrete action on public participation through access to information, opening up procurement processes, so that we can really bring devolution to life.
Thank you so much. Those are the thoughts of Wanjiru Gikonyo. She's the National Coordinator at the Institute for Social Accountability. Thank you so much, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., as well for your thoughts. Former Governor Bomet County, Honorable Isaac Ruto, asante sana for your time. In addition, Kevin Osido, the Executive Director, County Governance Watch, thank you so much for your thoughts as well. But Mashirima, I've just spotted her there at the back with quite an amazing panel. Today we tried to bring in 47 people from all the counties. Mashirima,
nadhani tumejaribu tukapata sauti kutoka kaunti mbalimbali. Nadhani pia ulipokuwa unawashukuru hao, ungekuwa pia umewashukuru wale ambao wamekuwepo hapo wakiuliza maswali kuhusiana na mada yetu ya hii leo. Tunashukuru kuwa pia wewe umeweza kushiriki kupitia mitandao ya Twitter kwa kuuliza maswali, kwa kuchangia mada yetu ya hii leo. Mimi naitwa Mashirima Kapombe, asante sana kwa kutazama. Tukutane wiki ijayo panapo majaliwa. Usiku mwema.
Na pia mimi naitwa Wahiga Mwaura, and of course we've been live for you from the Bomas of Kenya, symbolic location, 2004, the Bomas draft. We all know what happened after that, but this is a location that will forever be etched in history, and that's one of the reasons why we felt that we should have the show here today. Thank you once again to everyone who's watched this program. This has been the Citizen TV Town Hall, part of the Monday Report, and that's all we have for now. And of course, thank you also on behalf of Trevor Mbija in studio. We say good night, and thank you once again for all your feedback and for watching our program. Good night.